If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Holographist coach, Christine McIver.
Well, welcome everyone to a show that is sure to spark some, what did she say? I am Christine McIver, the host of Inspired Choices radio show and the founder of Inspired Choices Network. I welcome you to tonight's show. We are going to be talking about some very odd things on a day like today. Today is actually, if you're listening live, you know, it is January the 1st, 2020. And if you are listening in the replay, you know this may not be as holy crap, but today's show, on a day of new beginnings, today's show that really wanted to come through. And, you know, it's so funny because I was going to do this show for the last 3 weeks in a row, and it just would not come through. And it wanted to be today live. So today's show is called I Just Want to Quit. And it is going to be a show that will provoke you, a show that maybe will have you be, wow, I can't believe Christine's talking about this on air. It is definitely a show that has been speaking to me for weeks and wanting to really show up at the right time. So January 1st being the new beginnings, and everybody's like all, you know, happy and Happy New Year and saying all the quote unquote right happy things. Yeah, there's some very different bullshit meter popping awareness that's coming through for me that I'm definitely going to be sharing on tonight's show. So welcome everyone to the show. I would love for you to join us live. We are in the chat room at Inspired Choices Network. Just look on the menu bar, click on chat room, type in any name. You don't need a password. Come on in, and I would love to take your questions. And if you are brave enough, double dog dare you to call in and ask me some questions, share what's going on for you as we go through tonight's show. And let's see what actually wants to be brought forth into the world that has never been brought forth before. So before we dive in, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. First of all, I'm not done. I'm still learning about me, and I'm still learning about what parts of me, what pieces of me want to show up in the world. What has shown up so far in the world is I am a coach. I am a coach who is who's potent and passionate about working with individuals, working with people in relationships with others or with themselves who are looking definitely to change what's not working and desire to go further. I love working with individuals, entrepreneurs who absolutely know they have something to share with the world, and yet they feel like they're tripping, or they're not getting clarity, or they're not getting pleasure with their business. And it is something that is extremely important and something that I absolutely love. So tonight we're going to be diving in really, really deep with some different things. And what I'm sharing tonight, if it sparks for you and you would like to know more on a very personal level that maybe you don't want to share with me during the show, you can reach out to me. And I really encourage you to do so because, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, a young woman who is just kind of trying to find her way in the world, and she's bought into the belief system that, you know, it is the way it is. Life is the way it is, as if she had no choice. And if you know anything about me, you know that damn well I say to every single solitary person I possibly can, you can always make another choice. So if you are looking to make another choice and desire some support, some guidance, maybe even a little kick to get you moving, reach out to me. I work with every single person who ever reaches out for a half an hour, absolutely no cost and no pressure to continue. See, my belief system is you've got to want support and coaching more than I want it for you. And damn, I want it for you. I want it for each and every person because when together, I know that there are so many more things that are possible. And this year, I am going to do everything I can to continue to reach. But before I do that, I just want to quit. So let's get into this show about quitting. And it's a bizarre topic, I know, but it's reading. So how many times have you said, I just want to quit? How is this even possible that I'm going through this again? Or why is this happening to me? I just want to quit. I want to give up. When you find yourself tripping, hitting the wall, and throwing your arms in the air screaming, I just want to quit, what if quitting is exactly the right thing to do for you? Let's get vulnerable, let's get real, and let's get upfront about quitting and what this will actually do for you, for your life, for your joy, for your pleasure, for your ease, for the world. Because when you, my friends, when you are in joy, when you are in pleasure, when you are in ease, you add to the rest of the world having more pleasure, more ease, more joy. Now, you know, I am not this big person that preaches about being of service to other people because it nearly actually makes me gag. What I've been exposed to over the last 20 to 30 years is a lot of people, it's nearly like a guilt trip that, oh, we need to be of service in order for us to get abundance. Bullshit. That is not true. And it's like nails on a chalkboard for me when I hear people talk like that, because it's always from that space of I have to do this in order to get that. I have to do this in order to get that. When we are continuously self-sacrificing and we are not nourishing, we are not loving, we are not wrapping ourselves up with kindness, and we're trying to give it to others in order for us to get it, that is not going to work. And it hasn't been working for a long, long time for many, many people. I am not saying don't be kind to others and don't give to others, but you've got it in the wrong order. And it's time, my friends, that you quit that. Quit self-sacrificing. You see, you came into this body, into this embodiment, into this world to experience, to bring forth more of the amazing miracle that you truly are. And you keep ignoring that miracle, you are missing a huge part of what it means to come into embodiment and to create and contribute in this world. It started with you choosing to come. It started with you embodying. Why? Why would we embody and then constantly be seeking or focusing out on everything else except the embodiment that we be? It's like we jumped into, these bodies, and we came into this earth, and then we suddenly forgot that we came here for our own expansion. You have got to be in touch with you. You have got to learn you. You have got to get familiar with. You've got to challenge. You've got to love you. Yes, and I am saying you've got to, because you're missing the keys to joy in the world, and you're missing keys to bringing forth joy and change and possibility to the world when you are not taking yourself and wrapping yourself in love, in kindness, in compassion, when you're not challenging yourself to step up, to pay attention to what's true for you, to pay attention to those nudges. Maybe those nudges come through your body. Maybe those nudges come from experiences. When you are not in touch with you and you're really going inside of you, you cannot be inspired to contribute to the world until you get inside. To be inspired is to have spirit within. If you are self-sacrificing, you're not going to have much of a spirit. You're going to be run down and worn out, pissed off and ready to get out of the body. Can I get an amen from anybody on this? Are you guys with me? You know, when I first started talking about this, and on a much smaller level, when I first started my coaching business, a lot of people looked at me like, look at her, listen to her. Because they really were buying we have to be of service. We have to be of service. Oh my God, just the way that they would say it would make me gag. There was something that I knew that has taken years to come forth. And the strength within me to actually step into and saying this everywhere had to come in its time. This is extremely important to me, and I believe to all people on the planet. You have got to connect to you in order to contribute to the world. So tonight we're talking about quitting. I want to quit. How many of you have ever experienced deep, deep sadness? Have you ever felt so much frustration that your body shook, that you felt like your blood pressure was going to just pop out of your body? Have you ever felt so scared when you were maybe driving your car that you were just going to drive it right into a tree because you could not stand what's going on in your life, what's going on around you? Have you ever had so much intensity that you pounded a wall and maybe broke your fist? Have you ever felt like the world would be a better place without another damn human being being so angry or so sad that you actually planned or thought about planning the day that you would quit being in a body? If any of this is ringing true, even just a little bit, please lean into this conversation with me tonight. Please join me in the chat room. Please call in, because it is time for us to quit the bullshit. It is time for us. Oh my God, the comments in the chat room are awesome. It is time for us to pay attention to what we have been choosing, and it's time to quit. We're going to go for our first break of the show. When we get back, I'm going to get real vulnerable with you all. I'm going to tell you about some things that have been going on in my life. I'm going to share with you many things that have been working and have not been working. And sometimes why this stubborn woman needs to have her face smacked with it before she'll pay attention to quitting. Let me say just before we go to break, any of the choices I have ever made were ever wrong. And none of the choices you have ever made were wrong. They were simply a choice. And from that choice, we received and created an outcome. At that moment, when that outcome arrives, is when we decide whether we would like to continue or wish we had not. But we don't know many, many times whether we want to continue or not until we've actually followed through on the choice. Choice is great. That's where we learn. But sometimes we stop at that choice and do not choose again. We're not paying attention to what really turns us on and lights us up. And that's what we're going to dig into right after this commercial break. So stay tuned, everyone. You are listening to Christine McIver on Inspired Choices radio show on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back after this message.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. Canada 613-800-8736 or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to the January 1st, 2020 Inspired Choices radio show with Christine McIver. And tonight we're talking about I just want to quit. So I want to tell you about some of the choices that I've made, some of the outcomes that have been created that have led me to this moment of I just want to quit. This last year has been quite a journey in looking at my life. So I've done a lot of things very differently from the people around me in my family and in growing up. I think about this not too often, but some of the times I look back and, I was a very timid, shy, very concerned young child. I always felt like I had this energy of be careful, and never felt like I was an explorer or an adventurer. And, I was definitely that kid that got picked last for the baseball games or the soccer games. And, there would be some of the birthday parties growing up with my girlfriends that maybe I wasn't invited to, or if I was, I can remember being in the basement of one of my friends and we had a sleepover and they laid the sleeping bags out and I was always kind of like out at the peripheral, always feeling like I was on the outside. And it's interesting because then, right up into my early 20s, I felt like people didn't like me. People, had a lot of strong judgments and opinions about me. And as I began to move forward in my life, you know, a lot of my friends and family members all chose the same type of life. You know, they got married to people around them as they were growing up. They lived in the same little, you know, we actually grew up in a hamlet. A hamlet isn't even a village. Like, there was barely nothing there, right? It was like 7 houses, a church, and a school. And many of the people that I grew up with, they married, you know, their classmates, and they stayed in the same area. And while I got married and stayed in the same area for a little while, when my marriage ended and I went to school, I was ready to get away from all of the gossip, all of that, you know, just the judgment. I could feel it like, you know, thick air in my lungs. And, you know, I felt like I was running away. I wanted to get away. I wanted to quit living within the confines of this community. And I moved, you know, a few cities away, and it, you know, it was only about an hour drive. But for me, that was a really big step. And I started a new life, and started a new family. And I was in a crazy relationship, but I started, you know, working in a new industry, working in a new area. And then I started to build up my career more and more. When my second marriage ended, and I was, you know, I was just ready to quit that. That was a great choice to quit that, because that relationship was abusive. It was hard on me. It was hard on my creating my life. It was hard on my children. It was just, it impacted so many people, and most especially myself. And when I was finally ready to say I quit, you know, I ripped that Band-Aid, and I ripped it fast. Now, it took me a long time to finally get to that place, but I knew that once I did that, and that was February the 11th, 2020, nearly 20 years ago, when I made that choice, and I said, I quit, I'm done with this shit. I could feel myself literally energetically moving forward. I just knew that there was a new life right there for me, and I was done with all of this shit. So saying I quit when I'm, you know, you're in those situations, that can be a great thing. Was it easy? No. Did I have to, you know, do a lot of things that were difficult and hard and lonely for many years? I really, really did. So I started to build up my career, and I really focused solely on my career, and I felt like I was being suffocating in that career as time went on. I was in human resources, and I just felt that after a number of years that it was not the place for me. It was sucking all of my joy and my energy, and I wasn't able to be creative. I was, you know, I constantly had so much to do, and I wasn't getting the pleasure. It wasn't filling me up. So I quit. I quit that job, and I chose forward for me. And I started my own business. And a few years after that, that city that I had moved to, the walls of that city felt like they were caving in, and I really needed to stretch. I really needed to go forth into my life. And so I sold my house. I left that community where I knew everybody, and this was very scary for me. And I moved to another city where I barely knew no one, and I was really excited and simultaneously scared like hell, because I didn't know what I was doing, and was I doing the right thing? And sometimes the gift in being somebody that's a quick chooser, when you get that hit, sometimes I choose into things before I talk myself out of them, if that makes sense. And so I get myself into those positions where I really feel like the universe, my soul is trying to pull me forward. It's like it distracts me long enough so I'll just get there, and then it's like, okay, you can't really turn around. I know you can always make another choice, but I hope this is making sense. So that was in 2012 when I made that big move. Yeah, Rhonda, my producer tonight, says that good old path of least resistance. Yeah, it's like just jump and then don't let yourself go back, right? So 2012, I moved to this big city, and then I was, felt like I was going through, if you remember what December 2012 was like, there was a lot of upheaval. There was a lot of change, and I definitely was in the thick of it. And from that change, I really started to make the demand of moving forward in a very conscious way. And I was introduced to a modality that impacted and really pulled me in strongly. And I started to jump forward with it in such a dynamic way. I filled up my desire of knowledge and just kept adding to it. And I added all of this to my business. And from that, I also made so many connections. So many of my dear friends that I consider family came because of that big choice into that body of work. And, it was the end of 2013 when I felt like I had kind of blown up my life. And on October the 31st, 2013, I had to give up my home. I couldn't afford to live on my own, and I didn't really have anywhere that I could turn. And my beautiful niece that I love so dearly, she opened her doors and she welcomed me into her home and allowed me to be there and allowed me to, take time for a rest, but also not to have to worry so much, so I could really do what I find that space within me. And I'll tell you, there was a night where I went to sleep because I had a 10 by 10 room to myself. And I went to sleep thinking to myself, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I want to quit. And I really was ready to go to sleep and never wake up again, because I was so sad that I had blown up my life. And I was so convinced that it was the most shameful thing that I had created. I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. And obviously there's still energy here because the tears are starting to come. And I woke up in the morning. I remember I can still see this ceiling in this room. I can remember looking up to the ceiling and going, oh, shit. I'm still here. Wow. And I just laid there for about 10 minutes staring at this ceiling, not really thinking a thought. And then like an energy just surged. I just got up, and it was like, okay, let's go. There wasn't a whole lot of what was there, but there was some of it. And it was interesting, to say the least, my friends. And I started to just take that one step at a time. And that was the time that I was invited into producing radio. And I didn't think about that choice very much. I felt like I was as poor as a church mouse, and I had kind of blown everything. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? It's either go get a job at McDonald's, or you better start saying yes to some things and making some money. So I did. That's why I actually said yes to producing. And the year prior, I had gone into business with a woman, and we signed a year-long contract with Voice America to do radio, and they charged about $2,500 a month. And 2 months after we signed that contract, she didn't want to be in business anymore. and that was going to impact my finances significantly. So that was 2013 was a really hard year of, trying to continue to move forward and grow my business in a city where I didn't know anybody. She was the only one I knew, and now that she didn't want to be in business, I wasn't getting any contacts. So trying to grow a business with very little people and being sad simultaneously, a little challenging. So at the end of that year contract with that radio show, I didn't want to do radio anymore. I was like, screw this shit. I am done. And one day I asked my business what it wanted me to concentrate on. And if you've listened to me before on the radio, you've probably heard me tell this story, but it's important because my business said radio. And I was like, what? I started to resist the hell and fight that. And then I went, just stop it. Just do what it said. Just do it. And so I reached forward to a friend who had her own local station, and she said, yeah, come. And so, I could get my radio show started very quickly. It didn't take much to do that. And then that was just in a couple of weeks after that was when she asked me if I wanted to produce. And again, it was like, well, you need money. So I said yes to it. So there wasn't big, conscious sitting and meditating for days and, all that other stuff. It was like, no, just say yes. So again, just jump, just do it. Exactly. And what a choice that has brought me through. And before we go to break, I just want to say this, that so many times in my life, when I follow my gut without a lot of thinking, I feel like my being and the universe is kind of trying to distract me to get me to go forward. So I'm putting out these desires, and then it distracts me in a lot of ways to get me to finally choose something that it knows where it's going to lead me to my desires. Hope that it makes sense. And that was one of those moments, because honestly, if I had my business was still doing well and I was making a good amount of money and I still had my own place and everything, I would never have said yes to producing. And here I own the Inspired Choices Network now. So you can see, that choice. And did the universe need to get me to that broke ass place? I don't know. But right now, that's what it feels like is true for me. So what if blowing up shit, quitting shit, is actually the choice that you need to be making to get you forward to your desires? Are you ready? Are you ready to really follow your gut? We're going to go to our second break. When we come back, we're going to dive into a couple other different areas as well. So you are listening to Inspired Choices radio show with myself, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Network. Stay tuned. We're going to keep on digging in. Hang on, my friends.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you ready to have pleasure with your business? Yes, I said pleasure with your business. The Pleasure of Business a la carte will surprise you with topics like meet yourself in the boardroom, money, services, and you. Expand your visibility. The pleasure of communication. The pleasure of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Christine McIver has so much pleasure with business and loves teaching all things business. Beginning a new business? Desiring to expand a current business? Or looking to resurrect a business that has been dormant? This program will get you fired up and bring more pleasure than you have ever imagined. Exhausted with your excuses for not creating a phenomenal business? Join now for all the pleasure with business. Pleasure of Business a la carte gives you total choice for what you desire and what your business requires. That's 24 weeks of different topics to choose from with weekly calls, audio and video recordings, and PDFs. This class will have you dive right in and use tools to create the business that has been speaking to you. Go to inspiredchoices.ca for full details or join the Facebook page Pleasure of Business a la carte. Now is the time for you and your business.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Wow, this show is going fast. We got great chat going on in the chat room. If you're not there, come on over. And if you are listening to this in the podcast, please email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. Let's connect. Let's have a conversation. Let's look at where you are actually tripping yourself up and undermining yourself with the judgment of any choices you have ever made, with the resistance to quitting or starting something. It's frigging crazy. So I want to read to you let me bring it back. So I started in 2014 actually producing on radio. And 6 months after that, after a 14-year hiatus of being with men, I quit quitting men. I had decided I was done. And, you know, when you're quitting a part of your existence, it's like breathing, that is going to impact your entirety of your life. So you've got to be willing to look at it when it's right. But, you know, for me, quitting men for a good period of time allowed me to get in touch more with me and to get my house in order, as it were. That was extremely important. I needed to come out of that abuse, and I needed to heal from that time of abuse, and I did. But I also needed to acknowledge and recognize when that period was complete, and that was in 2014. When I then moved forward and growing my business, and I was moving, I moved into my own place from my niece's house, and I was there for about a year and a half, and then I moved into a bigger place, and I was there for 2 years, and then I moved into another place, and I was there for just over 2 years, and that brings us up to about a month ago. And a month ago, I actually packed up my entire house, put it all into storage, and I'm living the life out of a suitcase right now, because my life is going through a big, big change as well. I was tired and worn out from the grind, from the, packing or trying to make money to pay for a house. I had a beautiful house, and I miss my house big time. And I'm not going to cry about that right now, because I know the choices I have made are moving me forward. But I'm a house person. I'm a nurturer, and having my own home and all of that. I loved it. I loved my home. I loved having people there. The space was fantastic, and it so nurtured me. But, having the responsibility and the pressure of all of that was too much as I was trying to grow my business and lean forward into a beautiful relationship I have and to be more of me in the world that I'm still discovering. So it was time for a big ass change, and it was scary. And now I'm in the Bahamas. I packed everything, and I've moved to the Bahamas with 4 suitcases, and I'm here and I'm contributing to someone else's business, and I'm working very physical, and just all of the pressures. I just wanted to quit, and all of the things that are not working. I want to quit, and I'm just screaming out, I want to quit, and it's forcing me. This quitting is actually forcing me to lean into my life and lean into me. Now listen, and I usually read this at the beginning of the show, but I'm reading it now as we're nearly getting near the end. Listen to the definition, the online etymology of the word quit. This blows my mind, and I did not read it until just before we were going live on the show tonight. So quit, as an adjective, is to be free and clear. To be free and clear. And we're in the what year? 2020. To be free and clear in entirety, at liberty. Oh my gosh. It's also to be calm and resting. Can you guys get this? This is huge. As a verb, it is to also discharge, to have clear, establish one's innocence, to release, to let go, to relinquish. Again, free and clear. It's also meaning to reward and give reward. Like, can you believe this? We have made quitting a bad rap. We have made quitting the end. Vulnerable moment. I have 4 people in my life that they were worn out. They were feeling like they screwed up their lives. They were emotionally just wrecks, and they chose to leave their bodies. They quit. Oh my God, there's so much. I just want to jump around right now. But guys, I've always known that there is nothing wrong. The judgment, the worry, the oh my God, when someone chooses suicide, I've always known that the way that we're carrying on about suicide, we were missing something big. Quitting, free and clear. Why not be free and clear? Are we not all reaching for ease, for clarity? What do people know that choose to leave their bodies? They know. This is my personal opinion. Okay? Agree with me, don't agree with me. I am totally fine either way. But what do they know? Do they know that for them, they needed to be free and clear so they could create again? I don't believe anybody ever completely dies. The body that they are encompassing, yes, that ends, but not their embodiment of their being, their energy. They need to be free and clear. So how many of you are feeling that you need to be free and clear? And how many of you are honestly feeling, especially in the holidays, especially at the beginning of New Year, and I was kind of alluding to this at the beginning of the show, it's like, oh, yay, Happy New Year, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I have just been getting for the last few weeks, like, bleh. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the energy of people coming forth with a lot of people coming forth with the false energies of excitement about the new year when so many of them are afraid and scared and lost and not knowing what to do. My friends, if you are in any of these spaces, it's okay. Let's talk about it. Let's not ignore it. Let's throw it on the table and let's look at it. What else could we possibly choose? What's the gift in here? And I kept saying to my very dear friends, as I was going through this huge upheaval and change in the last 2 months, I know there's a gift in here. I know there's a gift in here because whenever I've been, quote unquote, squeezed forward, and it's nearly like the universe is like, God, this girl, she doesn't listen until we squeeze her. Whenever I'm being squeezed forward, I know there's a huge gift. Do I know all of it yet? No, I don't. But what I do know is that I came here to experience, to contribute to receive pleasure, joy, happiness. I know my voice and my awareness has been created with the divine in order to change the world that is in so much dysfunction right now. I absolutely know that I have these huge experiences that when I am present with them, without the judgment or the worry about what everyone thinks, and that's not easy. I am not, immune to feeling embarrassed at all. All right? That's still very much a human experience for everyone. But I'm demanding more for my life. So guess what I'm quitting now? I'm quitting the bullshit that I buy into with myself, that I am falling apart. I'm quitting feeling like I messed up my life. I am quitting giving up on what I know to be true for me. I am quitting not following what I know. I am getting clear with myself. And I am having conversations with myself and with very dear friends who I know have my back, and getting very clear about what is working and what is true for me and what is not. Pleasure, my friends. Joy, my friends. Happiness, my friends. Laughter, my friends. Feeling the embodiment of the pleasures around us. Today, I spent 2.5 hours sitting on a beautiful beach here in the Bahamas. I had my bikini on, I had my umbrella, I had a beautiful chair to sit in, my feet in the sand, a nice drink with me, and the water's just gushing back and forth. It was so gorgeous. The weather has not been that great here, and honestly, that was only the second time that I was in the water since I've been here for a month, and only the first time that I've spent any time relaxing and being there. I have been, and I actually shared this with Rhonda, that there has been something asking for me to be doing every day. And this something is going to be spending time with me in something that brings me pleasure. Does not have to be a ritual of the same type of pleasure. But each and every day, it is time for me to quit avoiding being with me. It's time for me to quit putting my pleasure last on the back burner. You see, one of my challenges, my friends, is I work a lot. and I love to work. I mean, if you know me, it brings me a great deal of excitement, and I love seeing things done and organizing things. And it's like, you know, if you have a little ADD, which I believe that I might have a good amount of, I'm always wanting to have things lined up and organized and flowing really, really well. In fact, I have 100 emails in my inbox, and it's driving me crazy because I usually have 10 to 15 emails in my inbox. And I have had to just say, quit it. Just stop. That's not necessary. It's time to have some pleasure. It's time to just go and be. So for me, each day I'm making space for me to have pleasure and be. Whatever that's going to look like, that's going to be a priority. I'm going to quit quitting on me. I'm going to quit really enjoying this embodiment. Because seriously, at the end of it all, what do I want to have? I want to have had the best ride of my life. I want to have those moments of tears and laughter. I want to have those memories that fill up my heart. I want to know that I chose to be the best of me with me. It's time, my friends. It's time to quit the bullshit. It's time to get real. Enough with the false communications, the false advertising, the false carry on in public, especially online. Like, it just is gagging me out. Please, I invite you to get real. If you're having a shit day, if you're angry, say it. If you're in joy, say it, but really mean it. Be you. Get real. Get clear. Quit the shit. Maybe that's a t-shirt. Quit the shit. This is so, for me, and I hope for you listening, this is one of the most space-expanding places that I have chosen to be in for many, many months. I feel like I've come through the deep squeeze. I feel like I've stepped onto the other side of this one. Will there be more squeezes? Oh, likely. But I am getting smarter, and I'm getting more aware, and I'm being more present. And in choosing this year to have pleasure each and every day, whether that is 30 minutes, 3 hours, or an entire 24, it's time for the pleasure for me. I want to invite you into that. I want to support people who are ready to let go of the shit. Let's do this. Let's change forward into the space of the places that maybe scare the crap out of us, that maybe intimidate the shit out of us, but that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is what turns us on and lights us up. My friends, I would love for you to email me. Tell me what you thought about tonight's show. Tell me what's true for you. I can't wait to hear from you. You can email me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. You will hear back from me. Let's connect. Let's do this thing, my friends. Remember, you can always make another choice. It is within you. Take care, my friends.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.